The following program was produced by the students of the Brian Lamb School of Communication at Purdue University.
On this edition of Fast Track, one of the largest student-run events in the country has thousands of Purdue students buzzing on campus.
And later, an exclusive interview on the mysterious gorilla masked women of modern art and how they're redefining the language of feminism.
A grocery store chain is making a small change to the way you shop for a big impact on the environment. Fast Track News Magazine starts right now. Hello and welcome to this week's edition of Fast Track News, where we bring you the news and events from this week on campus. I'm Taylor Dega.
And I'm Casey Snow. If you've spent time in Stewart Center during the last month, you may have noticed a different type of artwork making a temporary home in the Robert L. Ringgold Gallery. Margaret Merchkovich asks us to the gallery to learn more about how these anonymous female activist artists are making a difference in the art world.
So Erica, can you tell us what the Gorilla Girls is all about?
Yes. So the Gorilla Girls were started in 1985. They're an anonymous group of female artists who use protest art to expose racial and gender bias in the art world and other large institutions. So a vast majority of their work has an underlying social justice message, and they use it to call out injustices where they see it. So one of their major pieces, one of their most iconic ones, is this one here, where they're using wit and humor to ask if women have to be naked to get into the Metropolitan Museum. So in this one, like it says, less than 5% of the artists in the Met are women, but over 85% of women, or over 85% of the nudes are female, which is hilarious. But they're also using data visualization and wit and humor to get this point across. And this one is 1989. Like I said, it's perhaps their most iconic work. So we're really excited to be able to bring their work into the gallery and be able to highlight that as our feature exhibition for this fall.
That's great. And you said they're anonymous, right? They wear these gorilla masks to remain anonymous. Why do they choose to be anonymous? What's their reasoning behind that?
Sure. So they choose to remain anonymous in order to let their message speak for itself. The idea is that they could be anyone and they could be anywhere, and if you're an art museum, they're watching you. But it's also to remain anonymous so that they're not focused on as individuals or even individual artists, but as a collective and as an anonymous collective.
So they wear these gorilla masks so that nobody knows who they are. Why did they choose gorillas? Is it just a personal choice, or was there like a reasoning behind that?
So one of the story goes that one of their earliest members was not very good at spelling, and so used this pun on her accidentally misspelling gorilla, you know, the Guerrilla, as gorilla the animal. And when this happened, they thought it was quite funny, and adopted the gorilla masks, as anonymous masks instead of maybe just doing ski masks like Pussy Riot or something like that.
Interesting. Cool. So can you show us around the exhibit and maybe some of your favorite pieces or the ones that speak to you the most?
Sure. So I love this exhibition because each of these pieces were actually selected by the Gorilla Girls. The Art of Behaving Badly is a traveling exhibit that was created by them. So these are the ones that they feel are important and that they want traveling around. So this one was one of their first pieces that was done in 1985, and it is specifically calling out exhibitions at these four major New York museums in 1980. Well, I guess it would be 1984 since it was in 85. Sorry. Sources Art in America. There we go. So it actually pulls out how many female artists had solo exhibitions at these institutions, and it's one. And the reason this is so important is because solo exhibitions are a way to highlight an artist's body of work, So if you're only having one solo exhibit by female artists, that's kind of serious. Like, you should be having several. Anyway, so this is 1985, and then there's one just around the corner here that actually shows the difference in 1985 through 2015. And like I was saying, this is really interesting to me because it actually shows that even though we think a lot has changed in 30 years, it really hasn't. So in 1985, there was one, and in 2015, there were a total of 5. So each of these institutions upped their solo female artist exhibition count by 1. So really not much at all, not much has changed. And this is a really good data visualization of that number.
Erica, thank you so much for meeting with me. It was awesome to learn all about this great exhibit. If you'd like to learn more about Guerrilla Girls, you can stop by the Ringgold Gallery in Stewart Center and maybe meet Erica Quam and learn all about these amazing feminist artists. Thank you, Erica.
Thanks, Margaret. What a great strive for gender equality and a great example that you don't need fame or name recognition to make a real difference. In other campus news, finals and graduation are both far away for many of Purdue's students, but something is making students sweat in September, and it's not the heat. Fast Track's Mike Volta visited one of the largest job fairs in the country to check some resumes.
Droves of potential employers and thousands of Purdue students all on Memorial Mall. This is Industrial Roundtable.
IR is a ginormous job fair, and there's a bunch of companies that come here looking for primarily engineering students, but there are also opportunities for other majors, obviously.
With so many companies hiring, there's something for almost everyone here, even students with mixed interests.
Hi, my name is Emily Endicott. I'm a junior in industrial engineering, but I'm actually looking to go into the aerospace industry and try and snag a internship or a co-op there in the manufacturing part of the aerospace industry.
Hundreds of companies are here. Some of the logos are the ones you know: Rolls-Royce, Land O'Lakes, UPS. But talking to big companies can be scary, not to mention the long lines.
This is not my first time at IR, and I remember it was super intimidating as my first, as a freshman and sophomore. But now that I've had experience, it's a lot less intimidating, and so it was a lot easier to talk to them because I can talk about my job experience and my project experience in school. And I actually got an interview with Caterpillar on Monday, so that's exciting.
Students don't have to wait in long lines to get in front of industry experts, though. For every large company, there are 2 or 3 smaller firms that are also looking to hire.
I think the smaller companies are easier to talk to, and they're good. They're good for less experienced candidates. So it's a good starting point. Those ones.
Now let's see what it's like inside IR.
The first industrial roundtable at Purdue was held back in 1980. In 3 years, it grew too large to be held inside. Since those days, more and more companies have been added to the roster. The entire fair is put on by students, with the Purdue Engineering Student Council running the show. But Industrial Roundtable is only the beginning of Emily's journey to land an internship. Weeks of interviews follow the job fair along with online applications. Still, Emily has to start somewhere. For Fast Track Student News, I'm Mike Volta.
Industrial Roundtable offers a great opportunity for Purdue students of every year and major. But what they don't always tell you is how to successfully craft that resume or apply for that first job. Coming up on Fast Track, first-hand experience on careers out of college, how you can get the most out of Purdue's Career Center.
Being involved in the 3-year program at Purdue made it easier to say to myself I could get done in 3 years. 3-year program helped save me a ton of money. Not completing my 4th year, I would save around $30,000. It will give you an advantage, if anything. Doing the 3-year program at Purdue has shown me that I have motivation to do whatever it takes to get my degree.
Welcome back to Fast Track News.
We're learning more about what to do and what not to do when applying for your first job out after graduation. The Career Center in Purdue's College of Liberal Arts featured professionals from the HR industry to give their take on how to land an interview and a job.
And as Jordan Sebula explains, some of what they talked about came from personal experience.
Last Thursday, the College of Liberal Arts Career Center held the first event of the semester. In the All Degrees Lead to Human Resources discussion, Megan Trainer, Purdue alumnus, graduated in 1984, now is the Director of Human Resources at the National Association of Mutual Insurance Companies, and Dr. Brian Chupp from the Krannert School of Management here at Purdue were invited to share some of their motives and interests in the HR industry.
I started off kind of the opposite of what most people do. Most people work for a company and then get into consulting, and so I got into consulting first. And then I went to the Home Depot, and then I went to Advanced Auto Parts. And about that time, I received my PhD and knew I wanted to teach. And so about 4 years ago, I came to Purdue.
I've been in human resources since I started with the state of Indiana about 6 months out of school, and moved into private sector maybe 4 years after that, and have been in the private sector pretty much ever since.
Dr. Chupp said that students with a CLA major could step into the HR area as well.
I always tell my students, no matter what you're going to do, whether you're going to do accounting, communication, English, theater arts, and so forth, that eventually within your first couple of promotions, you're no longer going to do the work. You're managing people who do the work. And that's why an HR minor is great, because it gives you that skill to be able to manage people, whether it's compensation, recruiting, staffing, performance management, training and development. We cover all that.
Talking about the key skills they learned through college, Trainer mentioned the English class she took at Purdue.
So active listening, being able to write is really important, and that even applies to your emails. You can get a little informal over time whenever you're spending all your time writing emails, which is what I do now. I don't do memos like I did, like 2 jobs ago. I do a lot more of email, but you have to know how to write, and you have to know how to be brief, and that's the hardest thing. Oh gosh. And I use those outlining skills that I learned in English class. That's really helpful to know how to do that.
When answering the question of the biggest mistake they made through their career, Dr. Chupp and Trainer said that they both sent an email without thinking about the consequences.
So if I think that someone is being manipulated, being treated unfairly, man, I can just come off really, what are you guys doing? And at least 2 out of every 3 times, I have egg on my face. I'm like, what am I doing? Yeah. Walking away, coming back and go, yeah, because most of the time, if I've ever done that and I came back like an hour later, I never hit send.
Yeah.
For Fast Track Live, this is Jordan Sebula and Ding Dan Howe.
Thanks, Jordan. Students are encouraged to take advantage of the resources available at the Career Center before the next career fair, and especially before graduating. And in addition to providing students with a strong foundation in their career search, Purdue also offers a wide range of study abroad opportunities. Not only does Purdue send students to schools in other countries, but it also welcomes international students from all over the world. From the tropics to the Midwest, an international student describes the differences between Indiana and New Zealand. Reporter Shohan Liu gives us insight into the culture shock of coming to America.
Elliot Linesmith, a senior studying computer science, came to Purdue for a semester before he goes back home to graduate in December. When asked what his first impression was of campus, his response was,
big. For me, my campus at home is probably about 6 times smaller than the campus here. But also the buildings, the roads, I guess this just comes with being a foreigner. For me, when I'm not used to having traffic and buildings as big as this. I expected bigger people as well, considering my impression of America, but I guess uni students are uni students, and they're going to be pretty similar anyway.
Elias attends Canterbury University in New Zealand, where he studies engineering. Culture shock is something else he knows a little something about. He has witnessed some unexpected ways of life.
But kind of just left it open, and since I got here, the unexpected things are not specific to Purdue in any way, but it will just be more American, like the culture shock that I've experienced. For example, the weirdest thing would be a drive-through pharmacy. That was pretty strange for me.
While one thing that Elliot wanted to do when he at Purdue is stay involved.
So I'm staying at a cooperative house, Circle Pines, and so I'm pretty involved with all the activities that we've been doing up there and the rest of co-op life. But aside from that, I did BGRI, the orientation activities for international students, and that was a lot of fun. And then I found out that was 4 days before BGI, which I did as well, and that kind of got a little bit repetitive. That was the same kind of stuff we'd already done with just thousands more people. But other than that, I've joined the ski club, the water ski club, and the producers club, and that seems really cool. That's something that we don't have at home.
Being in America has also had its benefits. Elias said he has been able to experience a culture different to his home country. He can also take classes he wasn't able to take back home, while also meeting other international students through BGRI.
I think it is a good length of time for me because I'm a senior and I'm going to go home and graduate, and to be honest, I'm pretty ready to start working. This is my 5th year as a student. But if I wasn't as old as I am and overstudying, then I would want to be here for longer. I think the time's going to go pretty quickly. Me and my roommate, who's also an international student, were talking about it tonight, and we figured we're already 20% of the way through our stay, and it feels like we just got here. So we realized it's going to go pretty quick.
Thanks, Johan. Students are welcome to visit the Study Abroad office in room 105 of Young Hall to find a program that fits their needs.
Coming up on Fast Track, a grocery store chain is making a change to help save the environment.
One of the things that I really enjoy about being a professor at Purdue and being able to interact with students is that oftentimes I get emails from students several years on after they've graduated saying like, your course changed the way that I look at sport. Your course changed the way that I think about our society. My research focuses on the amount of coverage and the type of coverage of men's and women's sports on televised news and sports highlight shows. What kinds of stories are the media telling about sports, and then how does that inform and impact the way we think about gender and race? My freshman year, everything was about boys football and boys basketball. We didn't have the language or the ability to articulate or to know better that if we were supporting the boys team, we should have been supporting the girls team as well. So I was really interested in kind of learning more about the cultural aspects of why some of those gender differences might exist. The problem that I'm trying to solve is how do we address the larger inequalities within sport that relate specifically to sociocultural factors. For me, that's important. It's just exposing students to a different way of thinking about and seeing their world.
Welcome back to Fast Track News. A major company recently announced a change that will impact each trip you take to go grocery shopping. Macy Tetrick learned more about this company's decision and how it could be the key to protecting our environment.
It's bad for fish, it's bad for turtles, it's bad for animals.
Professor Matt Huber is a climatologist at Purdue University, and the bad item he's describing might shock you. Plastic bags. These everyday objects may not seem like a big deal. However, it is the sheer amount of plastic bags Americans use that cause concern for the environment. According to the Center for Biological Diversity, the U.S. consumes over 270 million bags every day. In a year, that's over 10 billion bags used.
Gotta get them all in one trip.
Less than 1 in 7 bags is recycled. The bags that aren't recycled tend to end up in the environment or into the ocean. When plastic, including plastic bags, end up in the ocean, fish can mistake it for food.
And eventually it makes its way into the food chain, and things that we eat eventually, at some level, have been ingesting plastic.
Even though we know using plastic bags hurts the environment, they are still used at grocery stores each day. Caroline Groover, a senior in psychology, says she uses plastic bags rather than her own reusable bags when she checks out at the grocery store for convenience.
Like sometimes you go to the grocery and you need 6 bags worth of stuff, and sometimes you need 1.
This convenience might come to an end soon. Recently, Kroger has decided to phase out all plastic bags by the year 2025. That means when shoppers go to check out, they will need to bring their own bags or carry their groceries home. Of course, Kroger knows that this will leave many customers frustrated initially.
And then there's going to be a lot of people who are just in a state of shock and are going to feel like something's been taken away from them. And I guess, to me, the solution to that is to remind people that plastic bags actually are a net cost to them in terms of the environment.
Overall, however, Kroger believes that by making this step to reduce the amount of plastic used each day will be worth this frustration. Stores in Seattle will be the first to stop offering bags to customers and will then spread throughout the country.
It sounds like they're really trying to make an impact, which is awesome.
Plastic in the ocean and plastic in our environment is a global problem. The only way you're going to solve a global problem is by having local and regional action. And Kroger is a big company. I think it's very forward-thinking of them in the U.S. to take this step, and I think it'll make a difference.
Macy Tetrick, Fast Track News.
What a great idea, Macy. I'm excited to see how reducing our use in plastic bags impacts our environment. We'll be right back.
If you're a student who would like to save thousands of dollars and also show the world that you're a real go-getter, here's a way to do it. I hope every graduate of our College of Liberal Arts shares my intense pride in the college for its new innovation, the Degree in 3 program. Special congratulations to all those enterprising liberal arts students who want to come get a first-rate liberal arts education and do it on a faster track.
That's all we have for this week's episode of Fast Track News. I'm Taylor Dacre.
And I'm Casey Snow. Have a great week. We'll see you next time.
Whoa! Bye.